to the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
After I had my knee down in the chair, I was like waiting for my wheelchair. No, not funny.
Welcome. Tonight we have the September Board of Trustees meeting. First start out with the Employee of the Month. And this month is Caitlin Horseman is the Employee of the Month. She's in charge of the beach. She's our beach manager. And she's been with us since 2000. And she does an exceptional job down there. This year she did it basically 7, 8, 9 months pregnant and had a baby right at the end of the year. And she's done a fantastic job for her. So she was recognized by her peers as the Employee of the Month and for September 2015. So congratulations, Caitlin, on that. We've got a public comment section now. We have a few people that have signed up, and then we'll call from there. So, Franny?
Good evening. My name is Fran Adamczewski. Lived in Southampton all my life here in the village, and I was down at the beach this weekend, down at the picnic area, and spoke to some of the homeowners down there about what is going on and why they want us off the beach. And there's a lot going on down there. The surf school has private lessons that are going on down there that are not being given to the homeowner down there at the end. I'm not going to mention her name, that her father actually is part of the lawsuit, because I spoke to one of the other homeowners that is on that lawsuit. We're going to be pending a lawsuit against the village to have us stop driving on the beach. And he said that the surf school is part of their kind of claim to have us thrown off the beach, because they are adding more and more traffic onto the beach. And there's inappropriate actions going on with some of the surf instructors down there, as we've spoken on the phone. I'm not going to bring that up with you. That's a personal matter. I'd like to talk to you some other time about that too. But we need to, I think that's a big part of stopping a lot of the people down there, is mostly the surf camp people giving private lessons. Now, I thought we spoke that private lessons weren't supposed to be given down there, and then the lady said she wants her own lessons, but it seems like the surf school is bringing other people down there, like as soon as they're done with her, and it's just adding more and more and more people down there. Because I've spoken to some of the surfers that are down there that are beginning to surf and asked them, you know, how did you learn about this spot? And they said the surf school. The surf school brings us down here. So that's a big problem with the, you know, I don't want to stop the surf camp, but I know they're have problems in the village this year too. Written up citations and then thrown out in court because something goes on and they weren't supposed to be where they were supposed to be. And then you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. We spoke about this 3 years ago when Tim was still alive here with us, and we told you this was going to blow out of proportion. That's what's adding on to a lot more people down there. And the homeowner that I become friends with, and I really, you know, I understand his issues with us and the helicopter pad as well, but he said, I also used the helicopter pad to me. So it was kind of funny, but that's pretty much my, just a,
Okay.
maybe we can do something with the surf school and
Well, yeah,
I mean, they should have, I mean, they're not even, you know, they're coming down there by themselves with 3 or 4 other people. They're not lifeguard certified. I know half of them that are down there that are not lifeguard certified. And they're out there with 3 other kids. And, you know, I was there last weekend, and one of the ladies that was getting a lesson ran into somebody, cut the guy above his eye. Now, I don't know what happened with that, what he did, or what the instructor went in and talked to him, and I don't know how they hashed that out, but something's got to be done. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a big problem with, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to stop the surf school or anything like that, but it needs to be regulated. You need to get down there and regulate this.
Yes.
I've spoken to the police officers that are down there, and they're like, they don't even know what to do. And I feel bad for them, because some of them are my friends, and it's just like, it's hard to, you know. And people driving on the beach, there was a guy that had a party a couple months ago, down the beach by Dune Beach. Here's his truck, no stickers, 50 miles an hour, tables, chairs, whoosh, right through the picnic area. Nobody said nothing, nobody stopped them, and they kept doing it, 3 or 4 times. I asked them to slow down. I said, you need permits? And they said, we don't need permits. So, something needs to be done. I mean,
Well,
you can't say something to one person and then, you know, they don't want us driving on the beach. They shouldn't be driving on the beach. Even if they're having a party, even if it's their property down there, they're driving in front of the other houses, driving through the area. Come on. Give us a break. I mean, I know it's a lot of people down there. It's a lot more people. I kind of wish the sandbar would just go away there for a while.
So
That
do I.
way, yeah, I know.
So do I.
It's like I was
It's a sandbar,
I was
we go away,
praying that there would be
period.
no sandbar this year, even though I love surfing there, and I've been there my whole life, you know, because there's times where it's flat. I mean, there's no waves there. It'll break in Little Plains or at the Bathing Corporation or Crider Lane, which is where it's been breaking, but I mean,
Oh, we know.
it's also breaking down there, and people just tend to come down there. So, I mean, something needs to be done. We need to
Something-
address this.
But it can't be just, I mean, the surfing is a small component to the volume that's down there. And when we
A
have
lot-
to look at, and we have to look at it from the master plan level, where they try to get the town to open up more beaches for driving.
Well, that's another thing.
And
I actually spoken to the town, and it seems like you guys butt heads about certain issues and stuff like that. But
Well, that's.
it's you know, it's we should, you know, I wish you would open up the area a little more. But there is a lot more surfers that are coming down there, because I know myself. I know the people that are there all the time, and you get all these new people coming in there that I don't even know. I mean, I'm a local guy that, you know, just, and it's just, you know, I mean, the beach should be for everybody, but like you said, there's new people just coming in, and they're saying they're, you know, the surf school brought us down here, and now they're bringing their friends that surf down there, and they're trying to surf down there, and it's just, there's I counted over 150 guys in the water. And usually it's just me and a handful of other people. But, I mean, it's all for everybody, but I mean, it's one of the main reasons is, and they're giving lessons. I mean, they keep on bringing people all day long, on the weekend, especially on Sundays. I see guys leave, go down to Dune Road, pick up like 10 more people, and then they'll follow them down to the beach with their cars and trucks and drive onto the beach. So, I mean, it's just adding the surf school and surf, you know, I mean, it's a big issue. It's a big issue. I mean, there's no liability for half these guys that are down there, you know, giving lessons. Do they have a permit to give lessons down there privately? They're making money off the beach, they're parking in the parking lot. Their trucks are in the parking lot, Flying Point Surf School. Boom. Boards everywhere. They're using our parking lot in the weekends. I mean, should they be there, making money off us? Are we getting anything out of it? I mean, you get a cut from the, you know, the surf school for permitting them to have a surf school, but
Well, I don't,
Private lessons? Not you, I mean the village, not you, Mark.
Yeah, they have
I
an
didn't mean to-
envelope taped right under here, right?
But, I mean, the village gets whatever the charge for the year or whatever
Well,
it is. But that's the surf school, it's not private lessons.
So I mean, the private lesson issue is, again,
I mean, that's a big.
from a macro level, it's a component of that we have to look at with the beach. That, the entire area down there, from the helicopter traffic to the way the air pumps are operated, to the volume of people that are down on the beach, and who's doing what, there's a lot of issues that we have to work on over the winter time.
That's why I'm here now, because
Yep.
it's the end of the season, kinda, and
Oh, no, trust me, I
well,
get.
well, it's slowed down a lot, believe me.
No, I mean, I get a lot of emails and calls and
Well, I'm sure you do.
stops and
Yeah.
all of this stuff. So yeah, it's an issue that we have to address. And with the town trustees, I've talked to Ed Warner over there, and he's open to getting involved with us and making some changes. And, you know, I think of all the villages, the village of Southampton has the best relationship with the town trustees.
That's not what I kinda heard.
Oh, well,
I don't
okay.
wanna put myself under the table.
So, no. I mean, we've had some issues with certain trustees that have been in that, well, the
But
current board.
I just
isn't.
really like to get this
Yeah.
all cleared up and just, we gotta do something about this, 'cause
We-
I don't wanna lose it, and I'm hearing like it's gonna happen.
Well,
I
it's,
talk to my
you know, there's,
homeowners, and they're like, surf school, private lessons are a big part of it.
well,
They're adding to
yeah.
adding to their,
Yeah, we have to, yeah, we're gonna have to be out in front of some stuff.
I appreciate that.
All right,
Thank
fine.
you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Ray.
Evelyn Conrad?
Does he,
I'll call you up, Warren. What?
oh my goodness,
Go,
I have to jump rope here. That would be awkward. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, trustees. Before I introduce myself and the clock starts, let me just ask, did you each get this opinion letter in your cubbyhole today?
today, yes, and I
You
didn't
did.
get a
You-
chance to read it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me give you a summary of the facts in it. This is an opinion letter intended to enhance the Myers-Swazi opinion letter that the Southampton Association offered on the 13th of August, at least it was dated the 13th of August. And here is some additional information. The Farrar case, which is cited in the Myers-Swazi letter and is used by the ARB constantly to grant developers applications, has absolutely no value as precedent. It is one little opinion by one local New York State Supreme Court judge about one property, and it does not make law. There was not even any appeal to the Second Department Appellate Division because the village and the ARB were obviously enchanted to get that opinion. It smacked a little bit of having been brought to court for that purpose. At any rate, the additional facts are that the opinion cited, the decision cited by Myers-Swazi said that there had been no discussion of the size of the house on that property, the Farrar house. Well, that's totally incorrect. I was there for the many months of the hearings, the public hearings, and there was an incredibly good group of about a dozen ladies, 6 to a dozen. It's funny, it's always the women who seem to get things done here. At least they present the view very well. And they came not only with the facts and with their protest about how very much the Farrar house sticks out and does not belong in that neighborhood, in that street, but they also brought a long thing where they had drawn the houses instead of making models, showing the scale of those houses and the other. Therefore, I don't know how the judge could possibly have said that no one protested the size. That was the whole issue. And whether you call it mass or size, mass is a volume concept, size is a volume concept. I mean, we're dealing in semantics, but not in law, although the law does do that kind of little stuff occasionally. Now, the Farrar decision has been surpassed by an absolutely beautiful one issued by also a Supreme Court judge, Timothy J. Drury, who today allowed the executive director of the local county bar association to send me a copy, even though it is not signed because their archives are not totally up to date. Well, his decision was that after that house, the foundation was there, the framing had been done. By the way, a 4,500 square foot house. Nothing here, right? 3 4-bedrooms. Had to be chopped up. It was quite a big story in the Buffalo News. I have that story. I have the decision. You might be interested in it, but I'll let you check it out yourselves. Why should I print for you, right?
Where was the house?
That was in 2008.
But what town?
Erie County, part of
In
a
Buffalo?
suburb of Buffalo, precisely. And oddly enough, the Ramsey Lane subdivision that the judge saved was very much the same as my Roscoe Place subdivision, except smaller, and dating back to the 1950s. And he felt that the house, he said in his decision, it's a 10-page decision, I have it here, he said the house was far too big for the neighborhood and objected particularly to the 30-foot height, which seems to be the height that the Southampton Association, in its infinite wisdom and a certain amount of hubris, I think, has suggested for our properties without bothering to ask us. Obviously, 30 feet is not appropriate for our area. Of course, take a look on Leo's Lane, and you see the nightmare of McMansions there. You can't see a speck of grass. I know there's been some discussion of grass. He also discussed the overbuilding of the lots. At any rate, that gives you a little précis of what is ahead. I included also a letter that I had distributed to the members of the Planning Commission. It's addressed to Paul Travis and the chairman. And in it, I asked that something very unusual be done, which hasn't been done here since the year 2000, I think, namely that there be a survey of what the residents want. Paul Travis is very intent on getting the facts of what the village is, what stage it's at, what the buildings are. Well, among the facts might be how we feel about it. And I have offered to help with such a survey because it's very easy to slant. You know, you can have sample bias, you can have question bias, you can have language bias. So I think all of the residents who are concerned with this, and I think that's everybody in the village, might want to take a look at it. Certainly I do from a professional viewpoint.
Why don't you tell the public what you're talking about? You're only talking about Paul Travis. Are you talking about the sewage treatment? Are
Yeah,
you?
well, no, that's absolutely right. He owes you and plans to give the trustees a study of what the status of the houses in the village is, to discuss the sewage and other problems. I don't think it's only sewage, it's also parking and so forth. And so he was very intent on getting the facts. And I suggested that the first fact to get would be what the village residents themselves would like to see. Odd question. The last time it was asked, I believe, was in May 2000 for the comprehensive plan that zoning is meant to implement. Anyway, anything else?
That's
At
not
your
true,
service.
Evelyn.
Huh?
That's not true because when we did the study for the business district, we sent out a survey on that as well.
Really? Well, to whom?
To
To
all of the
everybody.
residents.
I never got one.
No, they
A
were
lot of
sent
our
out.
people never got one.
No, they were sent out. And the results
I would
were on
love
the
to see a
and the
copy of it.
results were on the on the web page on
Well, I
our
would certainly love to see a copy of it. Can I get one from you?
Ask Steve.
Okay, Steve.
Sure.
In the morning, thank you.
Okay, Bruce Buckle.
You're
Not yet. Bruce. Bruce is next. Bruce is next.
I'll stand up.
You can sit down. You
I'll
got,
stand up. Can I stand up now? I can hear you.
oh, okay.
Oh, you sit. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Yeah, I'm gonna sit. You sit down for a second, or I'm gonna sit down. You're gonna sit down.
So you sit down, Warren, and then Jay will be after, Jay, you're after Bruce.
Warren, they've
And then
all
Warren will follow.
Warren, they've all signed up, so we're going by
I
order.
didn't sign up because I didn't think the list was gonna be that long.
Oh, it's
What I
not
have
that
to say
long.
will be much shorter.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Bruce.
I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal. Number one, thank Mrs. Epley for her support of the doggy park. The doggy park is a roaring success. Or you could say it's a barking success, because there's lots of dogs, very steady groups, and there's always people there. The second one is I was reading in the paper this morning about Bonnie, the former trustee, and her problems and your problems, but it reminded me, since I have all the trustees here, that one of the things she did when she was a trustee is she, once a month, assembled the chairman of the board of all of the boards, which you could exchange information with obviously the planning board or the zoning ZBA, et cetera, You used to show up for some of those, I think. At any rate, it would be wonderful if one of the trustees took on the assignment of assembling the chairmen of the various boards. There's an exchange of information. It's the only purpose of it, really. It's quite good.
Thank you very much. I'm
Thanks,
glad
Warren.
you went first.
Thanks.
See you, Warren.
Bruce?
Bruce Bachman, 660 Halsey Neck Lane, Southampton. I had two items to speak to you about tonight. One of them was to remind you of the letter of Myra Swazi, and I believe you've already been quite adequately reminded of that letter. We still would like to start to get some reaction to it. You know, basically the contention of the Southampton Association's council is that the Architecture Review Board is not as restricted in its authority as its council has claimed. And secondly, that artificial restriction has impacted upon its ability to carry out its mission and do its job. And we hope that's something you're paying attention to, because we think it's very, very high on the village's list of priorities, at least with regard to maintaining the integrity of our neighborhoods. So that's the first item. The second item is new, and there's a letter which you have in front of you, which I know you haven't read because we just presented it to you, but it's in regard to zoning. And I won't read the letter, but I'll just hit a few highlights on it and then leave it with you. We basically, after the new laws that were passed during the months of July and August, we saw that you were clearly going to be taking up some new issues with regard to zoning changes, particularly with regard to lot coverage and GFA. And we also knew that you were mandating the Planning Commission to look into those specifically and come back and provide you with advice. We decided, since we have a considerable database and we've spent a huge amount of time, this is the Southampton Association, we spent a huge amount of time focusing on these issues, we might at least provide you with recommendations as to what we thought. And we and our advisors got together and really took a look at GFA, lot coverage, side lot, front lot setbacks, etc., and came up with a few recommendations which we thought you really might consider. I wouldn't say they're quick fixes, but planning commissions, and I know this one is thinking about doing another comprehensive analysis of the village, which might take some time, and we thought there were a few things that could be done with regard to GFA, lot coverage, setbacks, etc., that might make a significant impact on protecting our village against the overbuilding, which I think we all agree has been taking place. So effectively, what we've done here, we provided you with a chart. I apologize it's so small in print, but we tried to get it on one page, which basically compared gross floor area, lot coverage, and setbacks with the standards of other villages. We decided to use East Hampton as the main comparative party. And determined just a couple of things generally. One is that our formulas and the way we have done zoning in the past tends to, much more than the other villages, allow large houses on small lots. That's not only with regard to height, which you've already taken care of, but it's also with regard to gross floor area and lot coverage. Just an example of how big the differences could be, if you take gross floor area and what's permitted on a 1/5 of an acre lot in Southampton Village, you compare that with what is permitted on a 1/5 of an acre lot in East Hampton, And we permit a 67% larger house on that small lot. Now, it's not 10%, it's not 15%, it's 67%. That's a very much larger house. And also because we have the smallest side yard setbacks, we permit as little as 10 feet on either side on a small lot, whereas in East Hampton it would be 20 feet on either side of a small lot. We're getting bigger houses, much more closely positioned to each other in the small neighborhoods, resulting in what's something that in some areas is starting to look like tract housing. Referred in the letter as the Levittown of our village, but the reality is we're getting big houses on small lots, closely placed together, and it's detracting from the attractiveness of our village. So anyways, our whole purpose here is just to give you some early thoughts. If we're being helpful, we hope we are, and that's the purpose of the package you have in front of you.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. Jeff? Yeah.
Jay Fitzpatrick, 243 Elm Street. There's an interesting dynamic that happens during the summer months at the north end of Elm Street, predominantly the summer months. You have Railroad Plaza where you have buses and trains coming in and cabs, public buses and private buses. And then you have the restaurants, the nightclubs, the bars, and the 2 rental halls. And then you have that all juxtaposed with residential across the street. And I'm the residential across the street. The noise factor is one thing, and I think it's been better. And I've talked to the mayor before, and the noise level of what happens there on the weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, has come down. A new dynamic has happened now is that all along Elm Street, it says no parking, no stopping, no standing. But what happens is that all the taxi cabs, limousines, SUVs, and a new thing, I think it's called Uber, line from Powell all the way to Pulaski Street, Pulaski Avenue, and pick up customers, drop off partiers, eat their food while they're waiting for the people to come out, honk their horns to get fares to come over to their cabs. And this goes on from 9 o'clock till 4:30 in the morning. 9 o'clock till 4:30 in the morning. And this is, I'm not talking about the noise from and then what they do is when I get up in the morning at 6 o'clock and take my dog for a walk, the litter, and I've posted some pictures. If you don't have them, I've got more I can give you. But the litter that is there from these cabbies and from the SUVs and from the partiers is just, it's horrible, and it doesn't go away. The clubs are cleaning up now, but they're not cleaning up across the street because it's not their responsibility. Even though the beer cans and the little red cups with alcohol and all that comes from the establishments, I believe, it's still there. I just think with all the people who come into the town through the trains and the buses, and I see them walking down the street and driving down the street, especially during the summer, it's not good optics for Southampton Village to have it look like, as you can see in those pictures, how bad it looks like. My suggestion would be is to maybe to have a cab stand over to the side in Railroad Plaza somewhere where the customers just walk across the street and get in the cab and kind of corral them so they don't do this. But I don't see that happening either, so I don't know what to do, but it's pretty bad.
Okay,
That's all.
thanks. Anyone else from the public would like to speak? You already spoke and got the second public comment.
This gentleman said, really, just one sentence.
Sure.
This is
I'm
from,
going to hold you to one sentence.
yeah, well, this, I'd better tell you what it's from.
So
It's
you're-
from the
you're done.
decision by Judge Brewer. And here's what he said. The court found that the board's members were inadequately informed as to their authority to review facts, and that the board took action without understanding the scope of their authority. This applies not only to the ARB, it applies to the planning board. They keep thinking they're balancing between the developer's rights, which are nil in terms of the planning board, because they're supposed to represent the village and the neighbors and the municipality. Thank you.
It was more than two. So, anyone else from the public would like to speak, Susan?
Susan Stevenson, I live in the village. I too, since I walk around Lake Agawam every morning for exercise, I have noticed the incredible influx of bottles, cans, litter. It's really terrible. And it's this year in particular because I've been walking around Lake Agawam for the last 15 years for exercise.
Is it in any one particular spot? Or is it
No,
on
it's
Pond
fairly well
Lane? Is it-
distributed. I would say where there's, by the beach to the left of the bathing corp, in that, there are a couple of spaces where.
In the
probab-
parking lot off the
The
parking lot? maybe?
trustee, or this fight with I don't know whose parking spaces there are, before the Agawam spaces.
Yeah.
It's a town trustee parking lot.
Right, I was sure it wasn't gonna be your problem, but
No, I mean, it's,
it was really,
It's a-
it
it's
is
a
pretty
problem.
bad, and it's all the time in the summer. The minute, it was bad yesterday too, but it's just, we have somehow invited so many people here, and they're not particularly.
We've invited them? I
Well,
don't really
by-
remember inviting. I think they just seem to.
With well, there seems to be the businesses, advertising everything.
I think people like it here. That's why they come. I mean, I think it's beautiful.
I agree,
Yeah,
but
so,
then I
mean, the
wish they
word's
would
out. It's
respect
pretty
the
beautiful out here.
actual place where they
Right.
came, which is here.
Right.
well,
Is there a way to get some other, hire people in the summer, more people to clean up?
well, we were talking
Oh,
about that,
good.
and because actually it's funny, because my letter that I have in the newsletter actually mentions about complaints on what people can do, and so the average citizen waits on us to make decisions as a government, and it's about traffic and speeders and trash and all, and my wife, when I first met her and we went on our first date, we were walking through the city, she stopped down and she reached over and picked up a random piece of garbage. And so her belief is that if everybody picked up one random piece of garbage every single day, we wouldn't have a litter problem. And so what I'm asking people to do is that as we go to hire people, because up and down Meadow Lane, it's a lot of garbage and it's all over the place, and we need, and in the business district, and as we go to do this, I'm also asking the average citizen to do what my wife said to do. Just pick up one random piece of garbage every single day. And if everybody did that, I wouldn't have to have the discussions around. And nobody threw anything out would be also too.
Right.
And then
Part of-
speeding follows the speed limit, so it's
I do
funny you're
that.
talking about that, so.
But when I walk, there are very few places, like, I don't actually want to carry somebody else's garbage.
Right.
Really far away.
Yeah.
If it's close to it, and then there's the problem that people take their household garbage.
That's
I've
the
heard
other-
this
that's-
argument.
yeah.
So I don't know what you're going to, so to me, it might not be so easy. Like, on my route, there's a garbage can at the beach, and there's one at Agawam Park. There are no other garbage cans, because I'm happy to pick up stuff. But I'm not going to carry it for, half an hour.
No, we were talking about staffing for next year, which would include, I think, at least, a couple of different ways. One is we could go out and hire a private contractor that would go through, and their cleanup crews could hit all the roads and around the business district and stuff, because you walk through the village business district on a Sunday morning, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
So, we run into union contract issues where we end up having to pay, I think, double time on Sundays for people, and then there's a minimum number of hours that they can work. So, are we better off? And then if I go and hire a bunch of kids, who's going to do supervision for them? And then what happens well, you and my father-in-law could be doing supervision for
He
them.
can take his
So,
side.
yeah.
I'll go on his side, okay?
And so, but if somebody from the village is their supervisor, then it changes
Right.
their pay
I'm not
structure and
against
all
the
of these
private
things.
contracting, because it's a
No.
limited time, and,
Correct,
it doesn't
yeah.
take 3 hours to clean up around.
Right.
It just, but you have to have the people, and you have to be able to put the garbage somewhere.
Well, it's
So-
also an educational issue because the garbage
I
shouldn't
agree.
be there to begin with,
Right.
Right.
and
That's what disturbs me. I mean,
Well, good luck.
people have such a
It's a
lack of
weird-
pride in throwing their
Younger
stuff out the
people
window. I
seem
don't
to
quite
have been taught
understand it.
some of this, I think. But anyway,
And
Anything you can do would be appreciated.
And,
really.
But
and,
it's
and,
something
and I
we
agree
just
with
started,
Mr.
yeah.
Fitzpatrick. I really honestly do feel that every one of those bars that are on that street should be over cleaning up that,
Yeah.
Us cross.
that green, because the paper cups and everything all come from them. There's no question.
They get them all the way over on, like, by the beach. I see
And
'em.
I remember a couple of years ago coming over that way on a Sunday morning after a Saturday night and seeing all these red cups, beer bottles, everything sitting right next to the sidewalk all around the green. And I remember talking to you. You had a conversation with them and
Yeah,
told them
we've
they had to
gone-
clean it all up.
We've
And they
gone-
were
we've
for a
gone in
long
there.
time.
Yeah,
And
so,
now we need another conversation with them.
well, it's gonna be constant, so,
I'm glad you're on the case. Thank you.
Sue, at Agawam, are you talking mostly at the south end on the ocean end of things, or is it?
Yeah, but
right-
There's
it also-
bottles and
all
stuff
over.
all the way along First Neck
It's all
Lane,
over.
up South Main.
It's in
They're
the
on my
village
street too.
itself.
They're on my street
They're-
too. People
yeah.
throw their stuff out the
Fortunately,
window.
I live
I'm
off
just
the street.
shocked.
So it doesn't, but I have really seen it consistently this summer. And even this week, but I'm hoping it'll taper off after this week.
well, that's what Steve and I were talking about it the other day. So as we go into next year's budgeting component, do we want to build just a whole cleanup crew, and who's gonna do supervision for them, and compared to going out and doing a
I'm good at that.
I'm sure you are. There's no question in my mind about that, so. Or do we want to actually engage a private contractor?
Does community service ring a bell for any
Well,
of you, or is that
community services
complicated?
is another
They do that
complicated
in New York City,
process
I mean,
also, yeah.
It might be that it's just too complicated.
Well,
It's, frankly, I'll be happy to tell you in 3 months if I see it all the time again, but I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think it's a summer
No,
problem. So whatever you could do in the summer, it would really, I think, because once people start doing it, it just is, then everybody throws stuff down.
It's like graffiti.
Yep.
It
If
is
you
like
don't go in and
graffiti.
attack the graffiti when he first hits the wall, then more
It's
tags
sad,
end up
but
being
it's
right
here.
there, so.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Anyone else from the public? Okay. You already had your
This
sentences.
is about the beach and the.
Yeah, but we'll have a
the-
second opportunity here for you, okay?
I used to go down to the beach with 7 empty graffiti bags, which tells you how long ago that is. And it was good exercise. I put in, the empty cigarette packs. You know what happened? I didn't ask anyone to help me. Soon people started doing it too. And then I heard the Girl Scouts, or some scouts took it over. So what happened to that?
Well, there are people in the village that
There's a
do
lot.
that. There's a lot of
Yeah, there's a
people
lot
that
of
take
people.
walks in the morning and pick up trash, but
Mike Farron does it every day up and down Hill Street.
Yeah, he
You see
does.
him all the time. He fills up bags of garbage every single day.
So it's there
So
too.
It's yeah,
Everywhere.
every place, so. Anyone else from the public would like to speak? Okay, so we're gonna go into board presentations. We have Human Resources of the Hamptons for the Polar Bear Plunge. So what's this all about?
Giving you an opportunity to defend your status as reigning champion of the group costume. Requesting permission to use Cooper's Beach for the 12th annual Polar Bear Plunge on December 12th at 10 a.m.
Well, I would like to make a motion to authorize Human Resources of the Hamptons to utilize Cooper's Beach for, on December 12th.
Saturday, December 12th.
Saturday, December 12th, to hold the Polar Bear Plunge.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
So every year, when we talk about this, it's a good opportunity to talk about the Polar Bear
Absolutely.
Plunge. So, I mean, you guys raise anywhere between $75,000 to $120,000 a year, and that money's used how in this community?
That money is used primarily to stock our food pantry, our local food pantry, which this summer I had a couple of amazing exposures to people who honestly didn't believe there was a food pantry in Southampton. I invited them down, I took them on a tour, and they were flabbergasted. We currently have approximately 600 clients in the food pantry. It's used more so in the winter than the summer. This is an area of seasonal employment. And we provide food for Approximately 3 days. I think we end up giving a little bit more to our clients. They're eligible to come once a month and receive free goods from us to help sustain their families.
So how do you establish eligibility for an individual?
Anybody who's in need who is a resident of Southampton. And by Southampton, we define that as Southampton and Tuckahoe school districts.
Okay.
So Southampton, North Sea, Watermill, Shinnecock Hills.
They bring in ID and...
They bring in ID and
Okay.
proof of residence.
Okay. I'm throwing this out here because there are people going to be
Right.
watching and maybe reading it, and they're going to want to know, well, how do you do this? And I might fall into this category. And what are you looking for? So when I walk in there, I'll have the right information and stuff.
Right.
So what other kind of stuff do you guys do besides the food pantry here?
We provide emergency assistance programs for specific areas of need.
Okay.
If somebody is behind due to a hardship on their PSE&G bill, if somebody is behind or can't afford oil in the dead of winter when it's 2 degrees out, we can provide an emergency oil delivery. Occasionally, we can help with a small portion of rental assistance, medication assistance. If somebody is eligible for other resources such as Medicaid, Medicare, social services, disability, and really doesn't know how to walk through the paperwork, we can help with that. If there are other resources that we can refer them to, we'll do that. We try to comprehensively help anybody who is deemed in need, and that can be someone who in their mind thinks they're in need. If they come to us, we try to help the best we can.
Good. Well, you guys do great work, and it's
Thank you.
always an honor to be able to go out and support you guys in Polar Bear Plunge. And we don't know what we're going to do this year, but we're going to try to do something. So,
I'm surprised you don't have it already locked up.
my wife.
Oh, he
is,
does.
Working on it.
my wife is the deciding vote on the whole
Uh-huh.
thing. So, yeah.
That's well it should be.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
I look
Okay.
forward to seeing
All
what
right,
you come up
great.
with.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, and come out and support the Polar Bear Plunge and Human Resources in Hamptons in December.
Thank you very much.
It's really not that cold when you jump in.
It's really not. I'm kind of hoping for snow again this year.
Well, I'm not.
I can do with that.
So, okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
We have a second board presentation, tick-borne diseases.
Good evening. My name is Josephine DiVincenzi. I've been a resident of the town of Southampton for almost 30 years and was an educator in the town for 24 of those years. As someone who experienced 4 times myself getting Lyme disease and being fairly aware of the problem, I've recently, since I retired, gotten involved with the Southampton Hospital Tick-Borne Disease Center. That is a wonderful organization that is started up to provide residents of the community with important information. And I brought some information, but I will tell you there's a tick hotline, and it's staffed by a registered nurse, extremely knowledgeable. If you get in a panic about a tick and want an answer, this is a place where you can get a call back, usually within 24 hours. The number is 631-726-TICK. In spring of this year, the hospital sponsored a lecture to help the community understand the scope of the problem. And I was fortunate enough to participate as a volunteer. And I met the gentleman who's with us tonight, Dr. Tom Mather, who's a professor and director of at URI, University of Rhode Island, Center for Vector-Borne Diseases. And I heard him speak about his research. And as an entomologist, he's shared with the community that there are more ticks in more places than ever before. Those of us who have lived here for a while, either ourselves or someone in our family has had a tick-borne disease. So I'm sure everybody on the board is aware of that. We're in a tick hotspot, but little is being done. And I got involved with the village of North Haven to try to decrease the number of ticks in North Haven. I won't go into that in any great extent, but I will tell you that ticks will always be with us, just as mosquitoes will. Very little is being done on the county level to control ticks, but we spend a lot of millions of dollars on mosquitoes. Thousands and thousands of people in this community and beyond it are being affected every day. And when I heard Dr. Mather speak, the thing that impressed me the most was, as an educator, the fact that I know that we will, like mosquitoes, have ticks with us always. So how do we make ourselves safe? And his notion of creating the idea of tick-smart communities so that we can become tick-safe is essential for the eastern end of Long Island. And knowing this community better than any, since I worked in it for over 20 years, I felt this is the place to begin, with the hospital in our backyard, with the village that's forward-thinking and intelligent and realizes that we have a serious issue. I feel that Southampton Village would be the primary place to begin a tick-smart community on Long Island, because this problem is a serious one that isn't going away. As a matter of fact, people think now that summer's ended, we can rest. But as Dr. Mather will tell you, the worst of the adult deer tick are about to explode in October. And many of you know, and this is the piece that is so upsetting, there's not only a lack of information, there's misinformation. And it's coming from a variety of sources, including some doctors here, who still persist in telling people that we have chiggers on Long Island. As an entomologist, Dr. Mather will tell you, and I just, to be sure, because things change, things migrate, I asked the entomologist who works for Cornell Cooperative Extension, his name is Dan Gilrain. He's been flagging insects on Long Island for over 20 years. He and his counterpart have never seen a chigger on Long Island. There are no chiggers that we have found, that the scientific community has found. People get bites that have the same symptoms as a chigger, and they're being told they have chiggers. They don't. They have Lone Star tick bites. That's one of many pieces of information that is not widely known. There are still people who will persist in telling you they were fishermen, they've worked in these waters, and they've gotten chiggers. They've been getting Lone Star tick bites. We have an urgent need. This is a serious medical problem. And what I'm hoping the board will entertain is the notion that came at the end of Dr. Mather's talk. It was, okay, if we have these ticks and they're in more places and much more plentiful, matter of fact, on Long Island, in this community, Lone Star ticks now outnumber black-legged ticks. Lone Star ticks give you ehrlichiosis. They do not give you Lyme disease. As of right now, the current research suggests that doesn't happen. But ehrlichiosis is a malaria-like, very serious illness. People get these chigger bites, or they are told they have chigger bites. They go away from here, or they forget about it. 2 to 3 weeks later, they have serious fevers and chills, and they think they've got a cold. And they forgot that they were bitten because, number one, they don't even think about ticks. So this is one of the most serious issues. But what I feel, to get optimistic about this, is, as an educator, education is key. And what Dr. Mather wants to share with you now is his research, briefly, and what we can do about it to become a tick-smart community and get tick safe. Tom?
Thanks, Joe, and thanks to the board for entertaining my visit here today. So as she mentioned, there are more ticks in more places. That came about to me in my own community in southern Rhode Island about 2012. I've been doing this work since about 1983. And I have places, you know, I need to collect ticks. I have my favorite tick collecting places. Maybe Southampton could be one of those. But I just started seeing a trend where these ticks were in places that I never saw them before. And this isn't just in my little community. It's all up and down the eastern United States, including here. And so the CDC, a few years ago, changed the estimate. It used to be that they recorded cases when doctors reported them, and there was anywhere from 25 to 30,000 human cases of Lyme disease reported every year. And that was sort of the notion. And everyone said, that can't be possible because there's so many. I know half of those people right now, they would say. And so they did some curious mathematics and figured out a different way to estimate cases a few years ago. And they added an extra zero, which changes the game, I think. That's probably still an underestimate, 300,000 cases a year. But at that point, communities like yours probably are realizing that it's probably the most significant infectious disease issue that their community members face. I was just last week in Concord, Massachusetts, and in all of the towns around Concord, it forms Middlesex County, the health department in the town said, this is the most significant infectious disease, things brought by ticks, that we face. And nothing is being done. Nothing is being done to help residents sort of come to grips or to understand. It's really about tick literacy. Back in the day, everyone knew there were ticks. You know, your mom probably picked one off the top of your head. Everybody looked at it, and in the toilet it went. And it's like, no one really got that sick, maybe a little creeped out, but other than that, you know, that's persisted. But these days, that was an American dog tick. Now you've got your Lone Star ticks, you've got your deer ticks, you've got more than half a dozen infectious diseases that are transmitted by these things. And it's hard for the average citizen to kind of put this new tick game into their sort of everyday life, because who's there to help them? And that's where villages and towns like you could participate in our program called Tick Smart Towns America and maybe get in. So in this More Ticks and More Places world that I am painting the picture for you, there's a ton of misinformation at the community level. I mean, I can't even go to the grocery store where I live without people coming over to me and telling me their story or asking me a question. I have people stop by my house with a tick that they've just found on their kid or something like that. And so there's a lot of misinformation. All of these people say, oh, I just feel better knowing that I know you. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm not sure I'm helping much. But you can see from this slide that people are frustrated because they really aren't all that tick smart. And so our argument is, well, with more ticks in more places, who wouldn't want to live in a tick smart town? I mean, it used to be we hide our heads in the sand. We didn't want people to know that we had ticks because it would chase away tourism. That day is over. Everyone knows we've got a problem. We'd be better off facing it. In fact, there may be even some benefit from your corporate insurers if you just face facts and have a program so that you're not necessarily deemed liable in any way for any of these issues. So Tick Smart Towns America, it's a community-driven public health strategy, I think, for solving America's tick problem. And it's the component is engagement and pride. So I heard a lot of pride about litter and the way your community looks. And so why not do something about ticks at the same time? It's similar in my mind, as we roll it out, to like Tree City USA. It's a point of civic pride. I noted that Southampton isn't, but there are many towns out here that have been long members of Tree City USA as well. So, you know, imagine having a sign as you come into town, oh, we're a tick smart town. The whole point is we need to change knowledge about ticks so that people can change their tick bite protection practices and then hopefully change lives for the better rather than having it just keep spiraling down as more ticks bite more people. When I think about what Tick Smart towns can offer. It's really a nudge. So our organization, we have been working on these types of public health messages for a number of years. And we are finally to a point where we think we can see our way to having sort of a packaged program with licensing some of the materials. But we just want to nudge people into generally making better choices, not throwing the tick down the toilet until you've identified it or taken a picture of it, because who knows what kind of tick it really is. I mean, we have a program, and I can mention it briefly, called Tick Spotters. We get hundreds of pictures submitted to us every week. And people, that has completely convinced me that this tick literacy is a huge issue, because people are making bad decisions because they haven't identified the tick correctly. And it affects a doctor's ability to make decisions on what to do next. So the goal would be in a Tick Smart town eventually, 2, 3, 4 years, with all of these nudges, that people would actually do Tick Smart things, and everyone would be a little bit healthier. And so when I list the services and tools that we have to offer, I'm just going to quickly run through them for you. But here's a list: a web portal, a program manager, our Tick Spotters program, subsidized tick testing for residents, print materials and messages, campaigns that you could run throughout town and different of your organizations, learning activities for schools, maybe some Tick Smart surveillance so you know where there are ticks and where there might not be so many ticks, events, educator training to help you have your own group of people here. And so we'll just go through some of these really quickly. So not everyone gets to know the tick guy. And I know that at the county level, there are people that have some expertise, but they have apparently they have other things that they have to do. But every town that's a Tick Smart town would have their own program manager. And this is really what is at my biggest cost, so that I can provide this link between our Tick Smart bank of knowledge and your community. And so the Tick Smart program manager is the key to this whole thing. They would interact directly with a point person at the town level, and they would be their connection to new ideas, bouncing ideas of what the local culture is willing to do, is interested in doing, but don't recreate the wheel, because it might not be, every time I get into a conversation with somebody, they'll say, well, what about this? Or I'd like to do this. And I'm like, well, okay, let's see, 1987, been there, done that, didn't work. Let's move on to something that is more productive. And so why have groups, try and reinvent the wheel when they don't have the expertise, when that's something that we can bring to the game? Best practices, unique resources. We launched our Tick Encounter program in 2006, and we have definitely become probably the nation's leading tick bite prevention program. We don't focus on diseases, we just focus on the preventing tick bites and helping people at that level. So every town that is a Tick Smart town would have an immediate web portal presence, which is like this. This is the Middlesex Tick Task Force. It gets logoed there. You can put it not just on your town website. Unfortunately, not that many people go, but the idea is that you'd get lots of eyes on it. So why not try and talk to the local school and get it on the school page where you want eyes on this, because it's answering questions like, well, I was just bitten by a tick. What should I do next? And not everyone cares about that until they've been bitten by a tick. Our analytics on Tick Encounter, our website, are huge on Mondays and Tuesdays. Why is that? Because people were out on Saturday and Sunday and they didn't take prevention strategies. So we have a new strategy to save the tick rather than throw it away, take a picture of it. Most people have smartphones now that are quite capable of doing that. they can get the tick identified, and I'll just show you a little bit about that. So this Tick Spotters program is part of your web portal, so people would get to see it. They could find it on our website, but if it's on their, on the lunch menu page of the local school, they might be more likely to run across it. And with this, we try very hard to respond with a message within 24 hours if they've sent us a picture. And this is what the message would look like. And so there would be the person's tick. These are actual tick pictures that are submitted. We identify it as a nymphal black-legged tick. This one's been attached for about 2.5 days. We have the ability to know this. We have a whole series, and this could be backed up by some of your own messages. For instance, this would be the type of print material that we would imagine could be at the library or around town. Seasonally relevant materials that show that ticks change their appearance as they feed. This is not something that counties and states or even the CDC offers. They don't offer seasonally relevant materials. This is a problem that people only want to know and think about ticks when they're in the midst of it all. And they want to have access to it, and then they don't have, they don't know where to find this information. So it tells them a little bit about risk. It tells them that they can have their tick tested if they want to. It tells them that there are things that they could do to keep that from happening again. And they get all of this within 24 hours generally. If it's a risky tick, they'll be encouraged to submit it to step 2, which to find out if it's infected. And within the Tick Smart Town program, you can offer a subsidized thing. So in some towns, they're sort of letting people get a pretty thorough tick testing for about between $15, about $10 or $15, and the town, as part of the package, would be paying the difference. And so you might get initially 100 of these that you can parcel out to residents if they have a risky tick, so that you could do this. We encourage getting information, so you'd find if it's a Lone Star tick, it'll only be tested for pathogens that might come from Lone Star ticks. If it's a deer tick, it'll be tested for pathogens. That's better than any other testing program that I know of in the country. Print materials for around town, these could be changed out maybe 6-7 times a year. You could have a few different messages running at each different season. Again, just trying to help people become a little bit more tick literate. These are just some examples of the type of Tick Smart print materials that we could make available. We offer a training program. We could either do a 3-hour training class each year with a group of people. So this is Jamestown on Rhode Island. They have 15 citizens and the pharmacist, school nurse that participated in this 3-hour training class. And so they now are a local resource for the town. They don't have to necessarily come running to us or their even their program manager. Or we could do a 50-minute public forum each year to help educate the community. So again, there's all of these things that are embedded in the sort of licensing fee that you would pay for being a Tick Smart town. A lot of pride that could come with that. A lot of access to things that people just don't have now. And in terms of the types of campaigns, you could, if it was an appropriate campaign, do a daily tick check, just nudges, reminding people to do it. You can do PSAs. Someone on your committee could say, well, I'd like to have something in the newspaper, and they want to make sure that it says it right. They can bounce it against their program manager and make sure that it's getting the appropriate message out to your community. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So so you gave a talk at the hospital in the springtime, and what happened from there?
Well,
Okay. So, now,
We reached one person
Yeah.
who said, this is too important. But I think a lot of people walked away with personal information. The point is, we had maybe 100 people there. And maybe those 100
About
people,
125
How
to
much?
130, maybe 130.
130, I'm sorry. At the panel in springtime, there were 130 people. They probably picked up some of the materials, their family members and good friends. I've been doing that through the Resource Center. We had a booth this year at the Classic. We're trying to get the word out. There was another panel 2 weeks ago in Sag Harbor. And we had, again, over 100 people. There were
They were, so one of the things we offer a school program, and we're developing a series of learning kits that would be age appropriate. This is the first one that we've developed. And most people, when they develop, they hire people, nothing as an educator. My wife's also a principal, and she's my harshest critic. And instead of thinking about, well, let's get them to know the words like tick and scutum or whatever, and do a word search or something like that. Why don't we think of a theme? What do we want kids to know? Well, we don't need them to know how to spray their yard, because they're not going to do that. But they could do a daily tick check. But if they're going to do that, they need to know where to look and what to look for. And so my wife said, we don't have time for that. But she then said, but we have a health fair. And in 10 to 12 minutes, could you figure out how to get them to know where to look and what to look for? And that's what's in this kit. And so you give a kid a magnifying glass and a fake bagel with poppy seeds that have nymphal stage ticks on it, they'll look for it. And then they know, oh, I'm looking for something much smaller than I thought. Right? I can't even find them there. And you're welcome to try that. Then we have a suit that has tick stickers and bug stickers. The bug stickers are just distractors. And we have this kind of messaging that says, well, mostly the different types of ticks are found in these kinds of spaces. And so they're on the stickers too. So you spend 3 minutes looking for ticks on the suit, 4 minutes looking for ticks on a bagel, and then you could we get them a little tattoo, and you can try this at home if you want. So these are just little temporary transfer tattoos. We encourage the kids to put them on, and then they can go home. You can distribute those.
Okay.
And let their parents get involved in what they did. So we give them a sticker, just like I gave blood or I voted today or something like that. But this one says, I'm tick smart. Ask me how I stay tick safe. So to encourage a conversation at home. And then the kids just are delighted to think that they're putting one over on their parents. In fact, my wife was a little surprised when I pulled out the tattoos, and she put out a robocall saying, well, your kid might come home with a tick on them, but it might be a tattoo. So before you rush them to the hospital, please check that out.
But the types. Your comment about what happened after that. I think a lot of people walked away being much more aware, and they became more aware that this is a serious problem. But instead of getting frightened and paranoid about it and not looking because you're fearful, it's really getting people to be aware that they can avoid these diseases if they will do a daily tick check, if they will spray their yards, if they will do the 4 and 5 things that Dr. Mather spoke about that's a part of his presentation. And the hope that I have, and the thing that really, after he finished, a lot of like the 10 things we should know about ticks. People are afraid of them dropping on from trees. Well, unless a leaf blower blew them up, they mainly come from the ground. What can you do to spray and apply stuff so that you can protect yourself when you go out there? And to think that you have to go to the forest, bulk of the ticks are right along the roadside where you walk your dog in the morning. So you have to treat your pet. You have to keep your pet off the bed. You have to do things, and if they're on the couch, you have to check yourself every day in order to keep yourself and prevent yourself from getting sick. And this information is in pieces everywhere. The hospital is doing more of the medical piece, but what I was so impressed with Dr. Mather's program is about is that it's comprehensive. It's giving messages to the public. It's working with your public highway department to do things that reduce tick litter and opportunities for ticks to be harbored over the winter. It's a comprehensive package. It's not a, I'll take this and leave that. What he was trying to say, and what I think will really make this a tick-safe community, is that it's got to be all of those things. Yes, in the schools. Yes, the hospital is aware. Yes, parents are aware. But older individuals who don't see as well, what can they do? How can they protect themselves? How can they protect their yard? People think they can build a big fence and they're safe. They're not. So how can we get that information out in a comprehensive fashion? It's to become a tick-smart community.
And it's not just getting it out, because we can get it out once, but the whole idea of a tick-smart town is that we give these nudges all of the time. Mm-hmm. Because that's really what it's going to take to change a culture and to adopt, best practices in our own lives. I mean, people hire training coaches so that they can get fitter, and life coaches so that they can just be happier. And this is the same type of thought, I think, and this is something that I think towns can bring to their citizens. It's, this whole concept of the nudge, it's a little like being a choice architect, right? So we want people to make good choices. We actually have the opportunity to help them with that.
With your licensing agreement, how does that work?
Yeah, so what we were imagining is that we would package up this and then try and figure out the best way to, the fairest way to sell it. And so the way, I was very enamored by the Tree City USA model. So within that, towns have to show that they have a line item of $2.50 per capita in order to qualify each year to be a Tree City USA town. And the money in the budget is for forestry programs. All right, so I thought about that, and I thought about, all right, so your average household is about maybe three people in a household. Your town has about 3,300 people. If you look at, an investment of about $7.50 a year, so that you have access, if you ever need access, it really isn't bad, because just think of if you happen to have a tick and you want to have it tested and you qualify for you've just paid for your $7.50.
Right.
In terms of education, this is, how do I live in this tick-infested town? I need to get tick smart. And so that's sort of the model that we were working on.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to put my head around, how you take it to that next level. If it, obviously you have to see what kind of support we get from the community. I want to talk to the town, because when it comes to ticks, the reality is the village and the town should be on the same page with it.
Yeah.
And then the hospital and where their program is at right now and stuff. So
basically,
Go ahead.
And basically in other towns, you've gone in and educated a group of people. And then that group of people will educate other people. Is that how it's done? At which point, they're available to lecture or talk to people. Now, what about the doctors getting involved in it? Are doctors involved?
Are any of you doctors, by the way? I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm not a medical doctor, and I wouldn't know how to fix a lot of things. And they're not entomologists, and they haven't had 30 years of being a public health entomologist. Mm-hmm. And one of the doctors on the hospital center's board sends me pictures regularly, and they're not ticks at all. So we developed a whole tick lookalike page because of some of his pictures. So people just don't see things exactly the same or have the same expertise, and I can work with them, but in terms of why make them learn something that they don't need to learn when somebody else is far more adept at it. I think.
I did go to a program over at the hospital in the winter, and basically it was a group of doctors on a panel and a group of tech experts. Some of the one doctor, Steven Schuster, I think it is. I can't remember. Do you know him?
He's the one that sends me.
Okay, yeah. He's out of New York, but apparently they're really working on that for some reason, but he's probably sending you the wrong pictures. But one of the things that they brought up, which I thought was very interesting, years ago when they started diagnosing people with Lyme's disease. I mean, Lyme's been around for a long time. They just didn't know what to call it years ago. I mean, they called it Montauk knee and all sorts of different things. But anyway, there was a period of time where you would go in and the doctor would pull the tick off of you, or, you had symptoms of Lyme's, but the doctor wanted to see the tick, and they would put it under the microscope, and they would do all sorts of things with the tick. And I don't know if they sent the tick out to be tested to see whether or not they were going to have to go through antibiotics. Then they went through a period of time they didn't want the tick at all. Now they're back to wanting the tick, according to Dr. Schuster, I think his name is.
Right.
He said, no, we want the tick, and the doctors should ask to get the tick, because they need to determine whether it is a Lone Star tick or it is.
Tick at all.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, and it made me feel like there was a guy from the North Fork who was the tick collector. Like, you're the tick collector, he was the tick collector from the North Fork, and he was very interested. He goes out all the time trying to find ticks and collecting them and looking at them and testing them. But it made me feel like the hospital and this whole group, and they had a lot of legislators there. See, they wanted the legislators there for exactly what you're saying. Nobody does anything about it, and how, they have systems in place to go out and spray for mosquitoes, but they have nothing in place for the ticks. So they wanted the legislators there, and what happened with that, I have no idea what happened after that.
Well, the county, what I understand, the county is putting together a plan.
Okay.
Just like you could be putting together a plan if you had a tick committee. Tomorrow morning I'm stopping in Southold. They just voted last week to commission a tick committee.
Right.
And that tick committee is made up of citizens, and if someone doesn't come along and offer them stuff that works, campaigns that have been used before, they're going to spend a year reinventing the wheel, or trying to, and they're not going to have guidance. So what Tick Smart Towns programming does is it offers guidance so that we nudge people to do the things that are most effective. For instance, you can get any kind of ad about what to spray in your backyard, and that was one of the things. So cedar oil. So we actually had a grant from the CDC. We tested cedar oil. It does nothing. But because it's not regulated by the EPA, doesn't have to do anything. And so there's going to be people spending hundreds of dollars a year spraying their yard with cedar oil, thinking that they're safe, or at least are protecting themselves, and it's not doing any good.
What would you spray your yard with?
I spray my yard with something called bifenthrin. It's an industry standard. We've worked with the fellow out at the East End Tick Control. He's right here.
He's on the hospital panel.
Yeah, he and I went tick collecting together. He's a great local resource. But all of this is like, all right, so you could try and talk him in, but he's a businessman. I mean, you have local resources, and they would be happy to work. I mean, he actually donated money there. I think the hospital did buy 12 of these kits to lend out to the schools around here.
Okay.
I do want to address what you said, Mark, about the town or the county. I've spoken to the county public health commissioner. I've spoken to the county legislators. I haven't tried the town. When I got to that level and saw everybody's pushing it, I said, you know what? Let's start with the smallest entity that has the best control over what happens on your streets, in your schools, in the public health hospital right here in your backyard. Start it small, because the larger you get, the more complicated it is. Like we're saying, I worked with Jay Schneiderman on the vector control. We went to Riverhead, we brought a group of people. Nothing's happened. Nothing's changed in spending millions on mosquitoes. That I think we've had 8 cases of West Nile and hundreds of thousands of cases of Lyme disease. Still nothing. Now, they did hire, apparently, an entomologist to start working with them and develop this plan. Here we are. 2 years ago, they started a Suffolk County task force. I know people who spoke at it. The report hasn't been issued. It's been delayed 2 years, and we still have gotten no result. So that's why I'm coming to you, because I know you. I know you care about the people who live here. You care about the kids. This is something that if we could start here and get this small village to do it right and do it in a comprehensive way, we stand a chance of influencing the town eventually, or other towns. But from my experience, we can move smaller entities faster and more effectively than trying to go bigger. So that's why I came to you.
Right.
So we're happy to answer questions later. I know this is a lot to consume right now, but we're available, and if you have any follow-up questions or concerns, or wanting to understand how the program works, we're available.
All right, great.
Right? And we're leaving a lot of information here. This is one of the best websites that you can get a whole bunch of information on. That it's Dr. Mather's website is tickencounter.org. And then I left the hospital's cards here as well. Thank you for your...
things that I found interesting when I was at that symposium was that for years they used to say, oh, ticks are prevalent on the East Coast, but they don't have them in California. Remember them saying that. Then they said, they didn't say that, but that's what was said years ago. Well, at that program that they had over there, ticks are everywhere. They're all over the world now.
I think you said they're in 49 states, right?
Well, your ticks probably aren't in that many states, but people that travel here and go back to Wyoming or Nebraska or
taking
wherever.
them with them.
I don't know that they're taking them with them, but if they were bitten here, they're taking potentially
Right.
infections back with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a concern. I mean, there are still just more ticks in more places, and for instance, most of the state of Ohio seemed not to have black-legged ticks for a while. That's what everyone said, and so the doctors didn't diagnose Lyme disease, and people were still getting sick, and people knew that people in Ohio were getting sick, but, we've been told by experts that there are no ticks here. So our Tick Spotters program that we offer, it's a crowdsourced survey for America. So people find a tick, and they find that on the web, they send stuff in. And when we first started this, we showed that, if you live anywhere near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, you live in one of the hottest deer tick zones in the country, and it spills out all the way over to Cleveland and south. And so, this type of, crowdsourced information can be very helpful in sort of watching trends. I mean,
Right.
we've had, I think I looked, we've had about 10 people from your zip code submit a tick to Tick Spotters, and they've largely been Lone Star ticks. And we don't know whether
one I'm
those
afraid of.
people took the advice, so they might have gotten a letter back from us, and we don't know what they've done. We're actually working now to track to see if, one thing we can say is, if it was a risky tick, did they pay to have it tested, for instance? And so that nudge, that being more certain about the decision that I make, rather than, I don't know, so I'm not going to take any action. If I do know, I might take appropriate action.
And the earlier the intervention, the better the chances of getting...
I mean, I've had Lyme's and never found a tick on me.
Most people don't.
Yeah, no. So,
Anyway, thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
All
your
right,
time.
guys, yeah, thanks.
Thank
A lot to digest here. So,
Thank you.
I was thinking about the tick I pulled off my summer after playing golf. Flushed it down the toilet. So,
Well, just if you go on this
Yeah.
website and you see, if you spray your shoes, the first of every month from starting in April, you can reduce, I think the number was something like 75% of the ticks that will reach your body.
you also don't hit the ball in the woods, you know.
Hey, if you stay on the fairway. But
You know,
You gotta middle of the fairway. I have a
that's
bad,
another problem we can't solve.
It's the slicer.
yeah.
Thank you again.
Keep my head down, follow through. That'll help.
Yeah, right.
All right, great. Doc and Joe, thanks for coming tonight and doing that. It was very, very informative.
You're very.
Thank you.
Yawning, sorry.
Okay, so, no public hearings, thank you. We've got communications to the board of 24/7 emergency care request for Cooper's Beach. And it's actually,
A little after the fact, but
It was after the fact.
they gave it to, so
Yeah,
we'd just like approval to approve their party that they held last night, Wednesday, September 9th at Cooper's Beach.
Did they do it? Did they
Yeah,
ask?
yeah, we gave them approval, but the application came in, you know, we do it every year.
yeah, we've
but
done it
just the
many,
timing.
many years and stuff. They just got the letter in way too late.
Right.
And they provided insurance and everything to the board and stuff, so. I don't even, I think it's kind of like trying to catch the horse
Well,
that's
we
already
just,
out of the barn here,
resolution.
so.
So we have a record, so we know that we did it
Okay.
last
So I'll make a
next
motion to
year.
authorize the 24/7 emergency care beach party that happened last night.
Post haste, that's
Was
all.
it fun?
Great time. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
You're right.
No. Okay,
Aye.
just put it down
There
there,
you go.
Bill.
One
You show up in the emergency room.
That's it.
Aren't you the guy that voted no on our beach party?
Don't get a tick there, Bill.
Well, seeing as you already had it, I figured this is the one I'm gonna.
Don't
turn
get a
down.
tick bite.
That's right, exactly. Next one's from Don Mahoney. We would like to apply for a permit allowing us to use the field at Flying Point Park on Monday, October 5th, from 1 to 5, to have our annual company barbecue with approximately 40 people to be in attendance. As in the past, we've cleared the areas to be used with Larry and be responsible for the removal of all trash generated. Don Mahoney.
Did you do this?
We've done this before, and the only thing is, don't interfere with the youth programs and I think that the schools use, I don't think the schools use.
No,
it.
they're okay, and
Requests this
then,
year.
you know, I spoke to Larry today, and he assured me that they do a great job cleaning everything up.
Okay.
And,
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mahoney and Associates to utilize Flying Point, the Downs Family Park, in accordance with their letter dated September 4th.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolutions, resolved that the reading of the minutes of the public session of August 25th be dispensed with, and those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator. The actions taken that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Got a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 2, resolved that the plaintiffs of the warrants dated September 10th, 2015, totaling $218,264.03, warrant 6 general fund, and $45,560 warrant 4 capital reserve fund in the village payrolls for the period from August 20th, 2015 to September 3rd, 2015, be ordered and approved. Got a motion?
Make-
Yep, yeah.
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Item 1, Alpine Software Corp., Red Alert Service Contract, $11,419.17. Page 3, Cash Productions, August Videotaping Services, $1,976.65. Page 4, Candace Planahan, Zoning and Planning Minutes and Board Attendance, $1,040. Del Marketing, Building Inspector Computers, $1,359.40. Page 5, East End Hose Testing for the Fire Department, $5,692.46. EMT Governmental Accounting Services for August, $1,048.13. Page 6, Biomatic Supply Thermal Camera Repair, $1,366.96. Page 7, Hampton IT Experts for computer programming for PD, $5,525.27. Herrick Hardware, going on to page 9, $1,348.39. Supplies for August. Hobart Service Appliance Repair at the Firehouse, $1,634.23. Johnson Electrical Construction Services Traffic Signal Maintenance for August, $1,350. Page 12, Messiano Consulting, grant writing services through August 2006-25. Morgan Auto Supply, going on to page 13. August supplies for garage, $3,337.68. Patricia Munn, Medicare reimbursement, $1,007.10. Page 14, Nelson Pope and Voorhees, Planning Commission Services, $2,649.86. Page 15, got a couple of payments to North Six and Sons, all for carting for August, $1,190, $1,127, $5,898.50, and $1,074, both for the Highways Departments and the Parks Department. Page 16, Office of State Controller, July fines, $21,370 for the court. Page 17, Pearson Septic and Excavating Emergency Repair, Coopers Beach, $1,800. Page 18, Professional Estate Care, Maintenance of the Lawn at Old North Sea Road, $4,500. PSE&G Collection Services of the Fire Department, $5,409.52. For the PD, $4,542.80. For the Parks, $1,003.91. And street lighting, $4,820.80. Page 19, Robinson & Robinson, Esquire Planning and ARB, legal fees through May, $15,156 and $8,154. Page 20, Ronco Cleaning Services, $2,134.54. Sadie Levine, Shaco CPAs, installment on the 2015 audit, $8,833.33. Page 21, Southampton Town, carting for the Highway Department, $2,389.85. Sprague Operating Reserves, 3,067 gallons of gas, $56.11.39. Squires Holden, plans for the Halsey Culvert Repair, $2,850. Student North Consulting for the ARB, $1,687.50. Page 22, Suffolk County Water Authority, utilities for the 470 Hampton Road Firehouse, $1,108.40. Plaza Cafe, East End Mayors and Supervisors Lunch, $1,585. Press Newspaper Group, Bailey Road, thank you ad, $1,512.90. Town of Brookhaven, dumping fees, $1,463.58. Vehicle Tracking Solutions, GPS Services for August, $1,055.56. The Capital Reserve warrant, first payment, two payments to Farm Right Inc. This is a spray, power washer, and a reel for the Parks Highway Department, $21,665 and $2,975. Kevin Harrington, Plumbing and Heating, the Air Conditioning Alliance at 470 Hampton Road, $7,367. Long Island Automatic Doors, the security door in the front of Village Hall, $5,053. And SCC Construction Management, a payment towards the construction management at the new ambulance barn. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the reestablishment of the village's capital reserve funds as of May 31st, 2015 as follows. Fire Facilities Reserve, $74,916.13. American Disability Act Reserve, $5,179.97. Office Equipment Reserve, $1,962.17. Facilities Acquisition, $761,271.98. Fire Truck Reserve, $1,290,882.30. Fire Equipment Reserve, $1,707,874.63. Major Equipment Reserve, $98,858.79, and Beach Reserve, $3,476.80, for a total of $3,944,422.77. Have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the prorating of interest for the fiscal year May 31st, 2015 into the capital reserve funds as follows. Fire Facility Reserves, $14.51. American Disability Act Reserve, 87 cents. Office Equipment Reserve, 90 cents. Facilities Acquisition, $149.71. Fire Truck Reserve, $457.03. Fire Equipment Reserve, $453.72. Major Equipment Reserve, $14.11. And Beach Reserve, 71 cents, for a total of $1,091.56. Have a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
On almost $4 million.
Pretty sad, isn't it?
Made a little over $1,000 interest
Crazy.
Over what period of time is that?
A
for
year?
a 1-year time
Oh, my
frame.
God.
1 year. Guess we should invest with UBS, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, I mean now, you know, we don't really have the ability to,
Yeah, you're very limited.
yeah.
Actually, compared to what we had with New York class, we're doing pretty good rate-wise, and as a
Yeah.
comparative, still
Wow.
drop in a bucket. That's what it is. There's another post facto resolution here we had to resolve that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the hiring of the following individuals, beach attendants at Cooper's Beach, at rate $9 an hour, Matthew Medio and Thomas Schreiber. This was just last-minute hiring because everybody's going back to college the week before Labor Day weekend. The motion, please?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of William Rayner as a probationary member of the Southampton Hose Company effective September 10th, 2015. Can I have a motion?
The motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Ken Lockhart Sr. as a probationary member of the Southampton Hose Company effective September 10th, 2015. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Eric Mayo as a probationary member of the Agawam Hose Company, number 1, effective September 10th, 2015. Got a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
I like on Ken Lockhart's application. He was he was in our fire department for 20-plus years, and the reason for leaving, momentary lack of good sense. He'd held many offices, first assistant chief, second assistant chief, captain, first lieutenant, second lieutenant, on and on and on. So, it's nice to have him back.
Yep.
Glad he got some good sense back. So. That's funny. Sorry.
All right, no problem. Item 9, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget transfer for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2015. Transferring $23,000 to legal contractual, $2,300 in debt service interest out of employee benefits, police retirement. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. What this was is we got some last-minute bills in from Bo Robinson as we approved one of the warrants there. And obviously, we had to adjust for that last-minute accrual. All in favor?
Aye.
And resolve that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to May overages for the period through September 10th, 2015. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, $19,000 for parks contractual from contingency. It's, what's causing this is basically the planter repairs and irrigation, planter repairs on Windmill Lane and irrigation down at the Agawam Park. $1,500 in safety inspection equipment from contingency and $3,100 in Cooper's Beach overtime from Cooper's Beach salary. All in favor?
Aye.
What was that again on the parks? I'm sorry.
Well, Larry's over on a contractual, but we authorized him to do $14,000 worth of repairs on the brick planters along Windmill Lane.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so even though it's early in the season, he's not blowing his budget out of the whack. It's just between, we threw that at him and we threw the irrigation down the Agawam boardwalk.
Oh, okay.
The
Right.
work had done there, so between
Okay.
that makes up the $19,000
Okay.
that, we're transferring in to help him out.
Okay.
All right, one item on discussion is a beach party, Bambi Kudu, Crider Beach, on September 25th from 6 to 11, estimating 200 people, sponsored by Hampton Clan Bake.
What's this all about?
Well, it's just, when we have over a certain amount of people, it has to go through board approval.
Anytime it's over. Okay. Okay. Anytime we have anything over 50, 100 people.
Right.
It's come in front of the village board, so we make the approval and stuff. So it's, yeah.
Where are they all going to park?
Actually, come on up. Actually, come on up here. Just state your name and everything for the record, so.
Mark Miller, East Hampton, New York, representing Hampton Clan Bake. The parking is arranged. Most of these people are coming from out of town. They'll be staying in local hotels, and there are going to be shuttle services. And I understand there's only about 30 spots at Crider Beach. Probably most of them will be taken up by my staff working the party.
Because sometimes we have a request to park at Cooper's and then run down from there.
And that's what I'll probably do with a lot of, if I have overflow and if the guests, but I don't think many of the guests are going to have cars. Most of them are coming from England and staying at hotels and their shuttle
Well,
services.
if your staff actually could park at the,
At Cooper's
at-
Bathing Corporation?
I think actually probably the bathing corp
Sure.
over
Yeah, that
there.
would be
Yeah.
even better.
It probably would be
Closer.
better,
Yeah.
and that way you wouldn't have all those spots taken up and
Not a
stuff
problem.
there. That would work well. And, yeah.
And the other thing, Mimi, I'll just throw it out there, we are arranging with Miller Environmental for portable sanitation. So that's taken care of.
Good. Relation, Miller.
No, no relation at all. Other than I really like doing business with them.
Okay.
And I like this village. I like coming to this meeting. This was fun.
Yeah, this was an interesting one.
Oh, you mean they're not all like this? I'll move here from East
No,
Hampton. Can I know it's not public
What, a
comment.
beach sticker?
Huh? You get a beach sticker? No, but that's not a bad idea, except I don't get a chance. I own a restaurant too, so I don't
Okay,
get a
all
chance
right.
to see the beach. If I can offer just, I say this to East Hampton all the time too, one of the problems I have as a business, and you know, I pride myself on being the kind of reputable business, you won't even know we were there when we leave. There are a lot of people, the town of Southampton requires you to be a resident to get a facility use permit. You are one of the few towns that allows outsiders to buy a permit. And I was listening to the person talking about cleaning up the beach. If you lowered that price from $2,500, I could throw a lot more parties here. You would never know that I was here, and you might make some money to pay for that subcontractor to keep your village clean.
Oh, we already have a lot of parties here.
Do you? Because I don't do a lot in the village.
Yeah,
We really don't want to encourage
You
it.
don't want to encourage.
the discussion now is how do we actually reduce the number of parties that are on the
Yeah.
beach?
Then raise the price. Ignore everything I just said. Raise the price to 5,000.
We're pretty
Actually,
busy
the
with-
truth is, I don't think that would even have an impact, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. But,
Well, I think I would venture to say that probably a lot of the parties you're talking about are not ones that go through the permit process, not ones from reputable companies like me.
No,
No, they
Clean
do.
up.
No, they do.
They do. Yeah.
They do, what it is, just it's pure volume.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of the because I sent a letter out to all the caterers who utilize the beach and go through the process about cleaning up. I think we had pretty good success this summer with them. A lot of times the garbage is really driven by people that get takeout someplace, or they have
Yes.
like
And leave it
5,
there.
10
Yep.
people that show up down there and have a kind of a,
Yep.
you
We have that same problem at Indian Wells all of a sudden.
It's the same thing.
because, yeah, it's,
And then they'll end up with a bonfire or something that they shouldn't have because they don't have the proper.
Not in the
So it's
approved
just-
container.
It's all enforcement issues and
Yeah.
trying to do that. So it's, but.
Are you
Goes-
handling the bonfire or just the?
yep, it'll be in an improved container and we know how to dispose of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do this on every beach. You know, I have a great relationship with the town of Southampton, town of East Hampton. The only place I don't do it is the village of East Hampton because they don't allow drinking. And nobody,
No, they don't.
except for the family of Mormons that I do every year. It sounds funny, but it's true.
I'm sure.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like the September 25th here. And the only other thing going on that night is the Rotary cocktail party that
Yep.
we're gonna have. So we can do the rehearsal dinner. and
It's a
then come
rehearsal
down.
dinner. They're having the wedding reception at their home
Okay.
on First Neck Lane, I believe it is, the next day.
So then they can come from the rehearsal dinner down to Agawam
Yeah.
and enjoy the village.
We're after reception, come
We
to
can go from the Rotary
Septemberfest.
dinner to that.
They're bringing a lot of
September-
people into town.
It's nice.
September Fest, yeah, come on
Yeah.
down, yeah. So that's okay. So, I'll make a motion to authorize the, Bambi, Goodhue, and the, rehearsal dinner for, Friday September 25th.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just one more quick discussion item that just came in very late. I just want to let you know that with regard to the Bailey Road houses, there's a company called National Energy Connection, and they're going to be involved with the Solarize Southampton. They are going to wire the 3 Bailey Road homes for free to be ready for solar energy. And this will also allow the homeowners to control their heat and air conditioning via a cell phone.
Wow.
Smartphones, and monitor their energy usage. So it's a really, really nice program, but they're donating this for free. I'm sorry?
Add Brenda's name to it.
Oh, okay. You're donating to it?
No, no.
Are they putting solar panels up
No,
there?
no, this is just the,
They're wiring it so that if they want to do solar panels, they can do
they
it?
can, right. It'll be into the, controls for
The system will
the
be set
system.
up.
Mm.
And then obviously they can right away control it from their iPhone.
Wow.
National.
Okay. So that's our agenda here. Comments from board members here. Trustee Yastrzemski.
Yes, just quickly, I just want to thank all our employees of every department in the village who, once again, provided for a very successful summer season, a very busy summer season. Everything from our parks, highway, and building departments, our DPW, keeping the beaches clean, roads clean, striped, safe. Village Hall, staff Village Hall for handling the huge amount of people looking for beach passes and every other question about what to do and not to do. All our first responders, ambulance, fire, police departments, again, handling record volume of first responder calls, and health calls and fire calls and police calls, disturbance calls this summer. It was very busy for them. Actually, the press just did an article this week highlighting how many calls we have already increased over in the past. So thanks to all our departments, our employees, and also this weekend there's a muster on Saturday, so if you want to show support and thanks for the first responders, namely the fire department, because it's a fire department muster where all the fire departments from the East End and Long Island and some as far as going into Connecticut and New Jersey compete in some drills and antiques showing of their apparatus. So that's this Saturday. So again, they've all done a hell of a job protecting everybody thus far. Season's not done. So again, if you're around this Saturday, come down to Agawam Park and support them with raffle tickets or what have you. Show their support. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Rich. Mike?
I would certainly second that.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. And we got Septemberfest coming up pretty shortly, which is an exciting thing, and that clam chowder contest is not to be missed.
Yeah, that's
without
true.
a doubt. So we got some
That's
exciting things, I think, coming up in the village, and it was a great summer, and it was great to see a little rain today. We were kind of dry.
Yeah, that's.
I think we're going to get more overnight, too.
Yeah.
A little.
All right. Nance?
I don't really have all that much, other than we haven't talked about our trees for a while. And I've been driving around, I haven't recently, but if I'm driving around, I'm always looking at the trees, and we have issues. I mean, we have some trees that are dying in our community, and on Main Street, too. So I don't know what we want to do about that, because if they're dying on Main Street, we were going to have to take them down and replace them.
Right.
I think there is one dead one on Main
I
Street
know.
down.
And there's some that are really sparse. Over the
Yeah.
course of the summer, they didn't have a lot of leaves on them, so I think they're on their way out, and it just breaks my heart, because I hate to, take down a big tree and replace it with a smaller tree, but, we're really gonna have to do something about this. And I looked to see if it had anything to do with the lights. The ones that were there didn't have any lights on them, so I don't really feel it had anything to do with that.
Okay.
But, there are trees all over this village that are dying. I mean, they have a lifespan. So we're going to have to, I don't know should we form a committee to possibly focus and break up the areas within the village and see, so that we have a plan? I think we should have a plan.
Yeah. Oh, we could do that.
We can section off the village and maybe ask certain people who live in that neighborhood if they'd like to be involved in it. And we can document the streets and what we think
Get
looks
Paul
like.
involved in
Well, I've been having conversations with Gary and
okay.
Paul and Larry, and Paul's more on a trim back issue. There's a lot
Right.
of trees that have to be raised because,
Mhm.
especially like down Halsey Neck with the campers going through. And Gary was, we got to work out a plan on how we're going to get that done, whether Paul can do it. I spoke to John, and it would take him about 3 years to do all the trees that need to be done with regard to the trimming. That's not addressing what you're addressing. Larry's, cognizant of the ones that have to be replaced, and, he does have the numbers in the budget for doing that. And then, we talked about some of the trees that we had to replace that was not in the budget, which I'll give him the extra funds for that. Not to say he doesn't have a game plan on which ones have to go first, but, there is a discussion going on it.
Also, I need to talk with you about the tree replacement of the crepe myrtles in the parking lot behind Cinderella.
Yeah.
They replaced them, but they replaced them with the wrong ones, so we have to really talk about it.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So what are you,
can we start on that? I'd
Yeah.
really like to put together a committee and
Well-
sort of look over different areas and see if we can't divide up the village in such a way, and then maybe get people involved in those areas.
Okay.
And then we can document. I'm doing
so,
it.
there you go.
Okay.
Stepped right up.
Yep, I'm doing it.
Oh, as Evelyn said, the only people doing anything around here are the women.
Women.
So. I tell you what, though. But I know with Nancy, it's going to get done.
So we got to do it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Bill?
Mark, this came up, we mentioned this a couple of years ago, and I know you were at the planning board meeting the other night, and I was thinking there was an application on Windmill Lane, and on that battered old house next to that applicant, directly opposite the firehouse, is there any chance, is that an historic house? Has it got to be preserved? Honestly, the village has developed an affinity for preserving things that are a mess and letting some, the, very nice homes, and the 40 Meadow Lane thing, I don't think they handled that the way they should have. But in any event, all I could think of is if we could take that down, that house, and maybe the Community Preservation Fund, could they get involved in acquiring that property and turn it into a parking lot or something that would, or just nothing?
Well, I'll tell you, because I actually, I was just at a meeting today at 3 o'clock with the owners of that property.
Right.
And met at the Historical Museum, and we were talking about a game plan on what to do. So they had a few different options on what they were trying to do. One included, controlled demolition of the house to donate to the Historical Museum. One, they did talk about the community preservation funds and trying to do that, but they weren't really that open to that. And then another piece was, a restoration of that home and trying to expand off of it, and develop either bed and breakfast or first floor retail, second floor house apartments. The most limiting factor on that property is sewage.
Sewage, yeah.
And also they have so not only do they have their sewage on there, they have a cesspool, but also the Rotations building is connected to that a cesspool on their property. So there are issues associated with that I think when we have the sewer district in place that will eliminate problems like this. This is a perfect example of an issue of sewage management and the impact it's having on a piece of property in the village. I think it's there. It's another property on Windmill Lane, across the street with Futterman and that whole corner complex that he's got. Sewage is a big issue related to that place. So I think that, but they're young, it's a young couple that own the building that are the primary people that are the primary partners there. There was somebody else involved, but kind of positioned him out. He's the guy who was holding the yard sales out there this summer.
Oh, I thought he was the only owner.
No. He was
Wouldn't we be better off if the building was just gone?
Well,
problem with
It
that-
ends the sewage problem.
Yeah, but yes and no. It's a private ownership, so they want to do something with the property. Is what they want to do. And so So there are sewage issues associated with it. You know, the interesting part about that building and the core piece is that that's a house that's from 1648, I think it is. And one of the oldest structures in the village that, you know, handled properly, and now we have a willing participant here, could actually be, you know, improved and a you know, a viable, important component to the village. So I completely agree. I hate every
Right
time
now,
I
it's
drive.
a Charles Adams house,
It's
you
awful.
know,
It's
and,
awful.
And,
It's
I
awful.
think when we first took office, though, there was a large group that came out that were totally against. They wanted it moved off the property. They did not want it demolished because of its age. And so we went through all of that, and it kind of like puts you back. I mean, hands off, don't touch it. And then it was for sale, or it came on the market, and then these people bought it. I'm excited that they're thinking about what they're
Just
thinking
be
about
nice if
doing with
something,
it.
as it looks now.
Well,
I know.
they're
But
actually
if there's a
moving
hope
forward. They have a, you know, they've got an engineer they've engaged, they've got a lawyer, they've got a planner, all things that we've been trying to tell these groups for a while. And now we have you know, someone who's really taken the bull by the horns, is going to do something with this property. So
well, that would be, yeah, at
but,
least,
But
it
the
just
great
has been
part is
sitting there forever
that it's
and it looks awful.
it's a willing participant in trying to improve the property. Whereas before, when the prior owner had it, wasn't willing. He was just sitting on it, waiting. And that's when we had to send code enforcement in. Went after broken windows and all sorts of things about cleaning the property up. And so we have a willing participant right now. So yeah.
And the other thing that I have in mind, you know, I know I spoke to it after our last meeting on, I know we got a letter this week, and I'm, in a strange way, I'm responsible for it, because this person had called me about when are they going to paint the bicycle lanes on Hill Street, and then he called me again to see why, you know, the summer's gone, and I told him, well, stay tuned, because I think you may see them disappear altogether. I've thought about this endlessly, and I know there's, you know, there's a positive reason for adding parking onto the north side of the street, but I'm convinced that we're doing something that's, you know, penny wise and pound foolish. And somewhere along the line, I'd love to spend some time telling you just why I think it's a mistake to remove the bike lanes and have parking on both sides of the street in an attempt to expedite, you know, traffic's ability to go west, which I do this almost daily. I go to Lee Avenue to take a left onto it, and the other day, I was just, it's funny, a truck was following me that has one of these mounted forklifts or whatever, not a forklift, but a bucket lift on it and so on. It wasn't a, you know, an 18-wheeler or anything like that, but it went around me very easily. And once you make it parking, if somebody's parked there, now you've really, and I frankly think that we're exposing ourselves to there's a need for a bicycle lane. It's all through Montauk Highway. You go into Shinnecock Hills. We've got all these little bike paintings on it and so on, and signs. And I think it's a mistake to do away with those bicycle lanes, and that you're 85% of people who are taking a left onto, there's only, I think, you know, there's Halsey Neck Lane, there's Captain's Neck, and Lee Avenue, the only ones that you can take a left onto. And yes, they may hold up some traffic. It's so minimal. The road is wide enough that cars go around me every day. I watch, and I think if you put parking over there, and then if somebody's parked there, then now you've really gummed it up. But I think the lack of bicycle lanes on that street, it's astonishing. The groups, and I think 86% of them are not local people. They're all dutied up with their Brooklyn outfits. And it's funny, you don't see them going back. I think when they get to East Hampton or Montauk or wherever they're going, they may pay a truck to take their bicycles back to New York or something like that. But in any event, I think it's yes, you think you're gaining 20 cents, but you're losing $1.25. So anyhow, I would like you to know that. And I told him why they hadn't been painted, and he promptly wrote a letter to you, so which I know you've all seen. Anyhow. I would like to express my serious reservations about that.
Because we were talking about the paving of Hill Street, and then, I know we talked, and then it was brought up in the supervisor's meeting about I'm torn on it, because I agree with you. The moment we allow parking on both sides, I actually think it creates more of a problem.
Yeah.
First off,
What it does.
the discussion to put parking on the
Was-
north side wasn't actually part of the discussion. It was just about centering the
Well, it was
strip.
about-
We weren't adding parking on.
It was just really, it was
But there's
about
guys
the
turning into
elimination.
parking now, right? Isn't that proposed that they're going to?
No, it was
No,
just, it was
no,
really,
it
it
was
was
just
just about
centering
trying to center the line.
lines.
Well, are you going
which
to
involved-
eliminate
which
the
in-
little lane?
Which
that-
basically
The bicycle lane?
involved elimination of the bicycle lane.
Or maybe
And,
two large lanes on either
with-
side. Still having bike lanes or paths, but we weren't, the discussion was to add parking on the north side.
I mean, before, Hill Street was just one line right down the middle.
I know Gary and
Yeah.
John both told me they were going to put a parking lane on that side.
Oh.
So, no, that's where I got that idea.
But, and so, I think one of the things when we tried to address, and this was actually under Romanowski's administration, that was their grant money that did that. So, one of the issues was that slowing traffic down as you narrow the lanes of travel. So you narrow the lanes of travel by the creation of what we have on the south side of parking, followed by bike lane, eastbound and westbound, and then another bike lane, and it narrowed the line. And it actually did, it was successful in slowing traffic down on Hill Street. So, I mean, Gary and John have talked about it. We didn't really, we never gave them
There
feedback
was no
one way or
direction
the
either
other.
way to go. It's just a
And-
discussion of what to
yeah.
do. Since we're
So
paving
I
it, how we
strongly recommend
Yeah.
you leave it the way it is. But
Yeah.
then you go into Shinnecock Hills, and they've got the bike lanes, and they've got the
Right.
little
No,
insignias,
it's-
just as we do. And we get these applications in the springtime or the early summer for these groups that come on out. And I told you, Ann Enstein was wishing to hell we would never approve any of them, because they all know that her facility is there, and they
Yeah.
come by they're like ticks.
Busloads of it. It's like the buses that pull up at the.
Lone
bus
Star.
station.
Yeah, they're Lone Star ticks. Anyhow.
If we're talking about parking, I want to bring something up too, because obviously, this was a summer of a lot of traffic in the
Mm.
village.
Yeah.
But a person who has a business on Main Street contacted me and said, now I know we've added 15-minute out in front of Village Hall, a number of them because of the building department being open. Is that why we added more 15-minute in
Yeah.
front?
Yeah.
Okay. But I know that we also got a letter from somebody on Cameron Street saying that the help at Citarella is all parking
Yeah.
on Cameron Street, and the reason why they're parking on Cameron Street is very smart. The owner of Citarella does not want his help parking in the parking lot because he wants the parking lot to be available for all of his patrons. Smart. So this person said to me, she pulled in the parking lot back here where you have all-day parking, which is along the Southampton Center, and it was packed early in the morning, all taken. She said, what's going on? There must be something going on. This was after Labor Day. She said, there must be something going on. Do you know, was there anything going on? She called me. I said, not that I know of. And I said, I'm wondering whether or not, because it's all day, if they've moved off of Cameron Street because of the complaint, and they're now parking in the parking lot over here, which just goes to show you, we don't have a workforce parking lot anywhere.
Well, it depends on the day, because a lot of times the jitney uses that as a pickup for wherever they go, whether they go to Atlantic City but I'll come in, and there's a whole load of cars lined up, and the jitney's waiting there for them.
In the back?
They go in for,
Right in the
they go in
back,
for
yeah.
play.
Yeah, if
They
they
go
go
Is
to
there
the
any
city
way
or
we can move
AC
that to
or.
like the theater? I mean, didn't we at one point use the movie theater during the day?
Yeah, I mean, it's still there.
And can we still do that? I mean, I wouldn't even
You
remind.
can reach out to the jitney and try to figure out a way. Do something. I mean, jitney has no
Yeah,
parking.
it doesn't happen
over
that
there.
often, but it is,
Yeah.
it is, I do see it.
Because the parking, I mean, this person works on Main Street and she was looking to park there. So she's parking in all day too. But really, it just goes to show you, we have a big market, which everybody's happy with, but where does the help park? And that's a problem, because if they're taking up the parking for the patrons of all the other businesses in the village, What is that doing?
I think we have to pull words from the Moonbiradian out.
I know, exactly, and that's, actually, for the amount of time that we've been here, it's getting closer and closer, I hate to say it. So,
Yep,
You wanted a double decker.
he wanted it,
he did.
but we like the idea of the theater, the one behind the theater, because it's so high you could go underneath. You know, that was a thought. So, I don't know.
Yeah, the difference is we own this parking lot, we don't own the theater
true.
component, so that's the problem, so.
I've gone into communities where they have elevated parking, and honestly, you don't even know it, because
You wouldn't even know it's there.
you don't even know, because what they do is they plant all the walls, so it looks like walls of foliage.
Hmm.
And they look nice, actually. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Sure, the phone will be ringing off the hook if anybody watches this.
Yeah, so I just said, Franny was here and talked about the beach. You know, the beach is an issue, that, especially in the drive-on area, that we've got to address over the winter time, and working with the town trustees and SABA to look at ways to mitigate some of the issues down there. Helicopters, basically, we had around, in 2013, we were about 630 landings from May 1st to Wednesday after Labor Day. And this year we had over 950 landings in that same time frame. We've had a significant increase in the number of, over 50% increase in the number of landings at that helipad. So, I've reached out to the Eastern Region Helicopter Council, so we can sit down and talk about ways to manage the helipad. My biggest concern is it's purely safety. And you've got the county park, we've got an overcrowded beach there with a lot of people and that are coming from all over, and increased volume of helicopters, all concentrated in one small area, supported by emergency volunteer ambulance and a volunteer fire department, and we have very poor cell phone communications in that area, and even some of our emergency communications are limited just because we don't have enough line of sight responders down there, repeaters down there, and it makes it difficult. So I have a lot of concerns that we're going to have to address over the winter time, especially with that area. So, and Uber has created a whole problem. If you talk to the mid-shift police officers who are out on patrol, Uber cabs and Uber transports are a major problem with speeding, and you don't follow the rules of the road. They're running through red lights, they're running through stop signs, they're double parked and all over the place. So it's created a whole issue within here. That's the bad side. The good side is they tell you who it is and what their car is. You know exactly what you're getting into. So we have
People say
to.
they respond quickly, too.
Well,
call and there's
because they
somebody
run
right
through all
there.
the red lights. They don't stop at stop signs. Those are problems. And talking to some of the mid-shift police officers, they've had to write a lot of tickets and moving violations on these guys, and sometimes chase them for long periods of time to do that. So it's there's a problem with the way they operate. And garbage, we talked about garbage is an issue. We're trying to figure that out. But on the good side, September Fest is coming up, and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Friday with the Rotary and the cocktail party, and Saturday they've got the chowder contest. We got a bunch of entertainment the pumpkin carvers and all these different people that are going to be here. And then Sunday is the art fair and all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of great activities set for that weekend. And the fire
Is that
department
this
wants-
weekend?
No, it's going to be the last week in September.
I just want to add that on Sunday, we're planning a 375 anniversary scavenger hunt.
Oh,
It'll be probably 11 to 2, but it'll be 8 different locations, and we're arranging for prizes for some of the, from first, second, third prizes from the restaurants.
nice.
Great.
Working out the details on that.
Oh,
Also, the Historic Museum on Saturday is having their final cocktail party of the year, and it's 375th theme. So that's at the Rogers Mansion from 5:30 to 7:30.
and then also tomorrow night is tomorrow's 9/11. So before the football game tomorrow night, there's every year they do a 9/11 walk around the track with the fire department, and it's a moment of silence, and encourage everybody to show up and participate in that, and then stick around and watch the Mariners play. And then on the 19th is homecoming weekend. Actually, it's going to be that whole week, but it's a homecoming parade on the 19th of September, followed by the football game in the afternoon. So some great things in the local community. Come out and support them. And yeah. So with that being said, we've got a second public comment section. Anybody from the public would like to speak? No? Nobody from the press or police?
Silence.
Silence?
Speak up, Charlie.
All right,
We
good.
can't hear you.
So we make a motion to adjourn the public session and head into executive session for the purpose of discussing personal matters involving village employees.
Second? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.